Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we will be setting up our development environment on your Windows machine and writing your first program in Python. Now, if you are a Mac or a Linux user, you can skip this lecture. I have created separate lectures demonstrating the installation for a Mac as well as a Linux machine. Now, we will be installing Python 3 as well as a text editor. Now, the installation of a text editor is completely optional. You might as well use the notepad that comes along with your Windows machine. But I personally prefer the interface that the Atom editor has to offer, which we will be installing in this lecture. So let's get started by opening our web browser. The one which I use is Google Chrome. Go ahead and open it. In your address bar, enter python.org and scroll down and you will have an option that says Python 3.6.1 for download, which is the version at the time of creation of this course. Click on it and then scroll down below. You will have an option for a Windows download. So check for the operating system Windows and select this executable installer that says Windows x86 64. That will make sure that it gets installed on your system whether you're on a 32-bit or a 64-bit operating system. So click on it and your download should begin. So once your download has been completed, click on the downloaded executable file and then your installation of Python should begin. Click on Run and then click on this checkbox that says Add Python 3.6 to path to execute your Python files from command prompt. Now click on Install Now and that begins your Python installation. Great, our Python installation has now been completed. Click on Close and now we will go and install our Atom editor. To do that, on your address bar, enter atom.io, which should open Atom's homepage, and there you will have an option for download for whichever operating system that you're in, whether it's a 32-bit or a 64-bit. Click on Download and that should begin your download for your Atom editor. Our download has now been completed. Go ahead and click on the downloaded executable file and that should begin the installation of Atom editor. Click on Run when prompted. So once your installation has been successfully completed, you should be on this window of your Atom editor. Great, so we now have our Python as well as the text editor set up on our Windows machine. Let's go ahead and write our first Python program, which is Hello World. So let me first get rid of all these tabs. Now there are multiple ways in which you can execute a Python program. We will be sticking on to two ways throughout this course. First one is to execute it through a text editor and another one is to execute it through idle environment, which you will be looking at shortly. So you need to use a text editor when you're writing complete Python programs, which you can execute multiple number of times. To write your program, first open a new file, click on File and then New File. And then save this file as a Python file. To do that, click on File, click on Save, and then you could give any name as per your choice. I will be naming my file as Hello World. And then end it with an extension .py to identify your file as a Python file. And once you do that, you can now start writing your Python code. So what we're going to do in this program is to print a string Hello World onto your monitor. So in order to do that, Python has a function called print. Now don't worry about these functions and strings. All of this will be dealt in the upcoming sections in this course. So for now, just type this line of code into your system, which is print, and open parenthesis, and then enter a pair of double quotes and enter the string Hello World. Once you do that, save this file and execute it from your command prompt. To do that, open your command prompt by heading over to Start and typing CMD. Click on it. Now what you need to do is enter py space the path to your file. Now I have saved my file in my desktop, so it would be desktop and then give a backslash and the file name, which is helloworld.py. Now on pressing enter, I will get the output as Hello World. So this is one way in which you can execute this program. Another way is through the Python's idle environment. To do that, click on Start and type idle. And then click on this executable file. Now this is Python's idle environment, which is an interpreter that gives you output on the fly. So if you want to print hello world in the idle environment, all you have to do is print hello world. And you have your output. So we will be using idle a lot throughout this course when we need to practice the concepts. As you can see it now, it is really easy to practice concepts using idle. You just enter the piece of code and you will be able to see the output. But through a text editor, it's a bit of a pain where you need to save the file and then go to your command prompt and then execute it. So we will be using text editor once we reach the section of conditional statements, from where we will begin to write complete Python programs. So until then, we will be using the idle environment that has been provided by Python. So I will be continuing my execution on my Mac machine, but if you have got these two working, which is to be able to execute through a text editor and the Python's idle environment, then you should be able to follow along with me. But one important thing that you need to remember is when you execute your Python program through your command prompt, you need to enter py. Now on my Mac, I will be entering Python 3, but on Windows that command is not recognized. On Windows, what you need to enter is py. So that's the end of this lecture. You have now set up your development environment on your machine and you have written your first program in Python. If you have faced any issue in this installation, put it up on the discussion board and I'll help you from there. The next section we will be diving into concepts in Python such as data types and variables. I'll see you there. Thank you.